What's going on, everybody? It's your man, KaleafWins, host of the Making Better Track Show. Welcome to episode 10, how to find your unique sound as a producer. Again, episode 10 of the Making Better Track Show, how to find your unique sound as a producer. Big shout out to Dason, who couldn't be here today. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to DC Carson, up in here today, right here for the show. Give him a shout out. Follow him on DC Carson Music. All information, link in bio. You understand what I'm saying? But listen, we're going to have a great show today because this is something that I've been asking myself. In fact, Dason said after the last show, he said to both of us, no, he actually said it to me. He said, you know what, Kaleaf, I hear you, see you doing this content. I see you doing this. I know you're a producer. When we gonna see some of your beats? And that's a good question. I'm not trying to be a content creator that's stuck in the loop of just talking. So I will be showing beats. I got a lot of things happening. I got a son literally coming into the world in less than a week and a half. But I will be posting content because I love to produce, and I've gotten away from it a little bit. But my first thought process when it comes to loving to produce, I said to myself, how can I find my unique sound as a producer? And with that said, let's hit up with the video so we can just discuss this on the other side.
Bunch of music from various genres, and whatever you gravitate towards the most, study the fundamentals of that genre and just experiment with it. It can really benefit you to experiment with any style of music that inspires you to create, and the more often you experiment, the more creative you'll feel, and the sooner you'll find your sound.
To be honest, the way I found my sound was just by making music that I like. But I feel like the whole point of music is just to make music for yourself. Something that you and your friends could listen to driving around, Because if you like it, I'm sure there's more people who's gonna like it.
Pick 3 artists or producers that you love. Choose one song that you love for each of those artists. Then take inspiration from one element from each of those songs. The bass line from the Michael Jackson song, the way the drums sound from the Justice song, songwriting elements from the Weeknd song. This is the art of taking from great music and evolving it and making it your own sound.
Well, before your favorite rapper said that, it probably wasn't cool, but he made it cool because he was being himself.
Fact.
People like being refreshed sonically. We're all different, so be you and make the music you like.
That's a fact. Let's explore it. How to find your sound as a producer, your unique sound. Let's go over some things that I'm telling myself and finding my unique sound. Let's go. I gotta put in the hours to find my sound. Setting a daily schedule to make beats. And don't delete your song drafts. Listen, this is a big lesson. A lot of beats that I sold on my BeatStar page were beats that I thought was trash. Beats that I thought were unfinished because I was overthinking the process. Please do not delete your song drafts as you put in the hours to find your unique sound. Last, have fun and enjoy the process. You can't rush this. This is something that I'm telling myself as I'm getting back into production, getting back into the mindset. Like I always tell people, production is a sport. Hip hop is a sport. I'm a hip hop electronic producer, but primarily hip hop, it's a sport. So I got to put in the hours to find my unique sound. Next, put yourself on a music playlist diet. Create a playlist of all the songs that made you fall in love with hip hop or your genre, whatever genre it is, when you were younger, and study that music. Study the drum tracks, study the bass tracks, study the melodic choices, just the choices of other producers we can study from. Think about it. If you're in culinary school, if you want to be a cook, you study great chefs. If you're a dancer, you study great dancers, so on and so forth. As producers, we should put ourselves on a music playlist diet. Stop focusing on what's happening right now and focus on the things that made us fall in love with our music genre and study the techniques and things of that nature. Next, experiment, and try 2 new techniques. Number 1, we can study production techniques of producers from all genres. I strongly suggest if you're a hip hop producer, listen. Study rock, study metal, study every other style. Don't just stay in one style. Second, YouTube is your friend. There are videos of people with beat making videos, and guess what? Get off of hip hop if you're a hip hop producer. Study R&B producers, study pop producers, study different types of producers. Last but not least, watch documentaries of musicians, bands, producers. For instance, one of my favorite documentaries is the Metallica, I believe it's called Some Kind of Monster documentary, where they did the documentary about creating that Some Kind of Monster album. And the thing that was cool about that documentary was the first time I ever seen in my life, Lars Ulrich, the drummer of Metallica, had what looked like an 80 flat screen TV in the studio. And he basically was jamming with the band. They would jam for hours, and then he would sit with the engineer for hours and be like, nope, keep that part. Nope, keep that part. Nope, keep that part. Experiment, and try new techniques. Watch documentaries. Trust me, there's some helpful information in there. Next, create cover songs of your favorite songs. It's a great idea when it comes when it comes to finding your own sound. You're not copying, you're not biting, but just the process of creating cover songs of your favorite songs help you learn new techniques. For example, recreating tracks will help you learn faster. That's a fact. We don't have to learn everything from scratch. Also, it can help you, your production thinking process. Why did this producer choose this choice? Why is this bass sound like this? The reason I like studying funk music is the bass, man. It's the bass. It's that groove, it's that jam, the rhythm guitarists, the drummers, the bass players. It opens up your skill set when you create cover songs of your favorite songs. If I were you, and like I most definitely, when I'm doing it myself, I got my playlist and my title, because I mess with title, you know the vibes. And I listen to my songs, and I created like 100 songs yesterday. Just 100 songs that make me fall in love with hip hop, made me fall in love with R&B, made me fall in love with pop. I did a whole playlist, and I'm just trying to slowly get back into my chops and create cover songs and open up my skill set. Next, make your beats around acapellas. That's a huge bar. It'll help you explore new ways to create around the original idea when you create the beat. Again, making a beat is great. That's awesome as producers. But in terms of finding our unique sound, what better way than to use an existing acapella, whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, whether it's pop, an acapella preferably from different genres, and create a vibe around the original vibe. And that helps lead you to the process of creating your own sound. Last but not least, put your projects out there monthly. Again, yeah, we created our own sound, but a lot of times producers, we stay stuck in a particular box. When you start putting yourself out there and your music out there, doors will open for you. I repeat, when you start putting yourself and your music out there, doors will open for you. You will start to attract new artists or people that want to work with you, and you can also make money while you're on your grind. Being consistent will make you grow better, faster, stronger as a producer. If you're working out, they always say, just be consistent, be consistent. Whatever you're trying to do to be great at, you're going to have to put in the daily work and be consistent. If you commit to making beats daily and tracks daily and releasing tracks and projects monthly, you will grow way faster. I was caught in previous ruts. I was literally making a whole bunch of beats, making a whole bunch of beats, making a whole bunch of beats. But I leveled up when I started going to recording studios, making beats in front of artists, making beats in front of artists. Then I started growing up when I started taking beats to different DJs, taking beats to different DJs and putting myself out there. But I was being so consistent that my network expanded, my skill set expanded, and my opportunities to sell tracks expanded. Again, we are not perfect. Nobody said I arrived. Nobody said DC arrived. But this is about creating your unique sound as a producer. And listen, if you want to invest in unique sound, go to the link and buy our Pro packs. There's 3,000 808 drum loops, 4,000 synth bundle one shots. These packs will be taken down, I heard, soon enough, and that whole site is going to be revamped. But please invest in tracks to make your new sound. But DC, talk to me. How are you doing, brother? How you doing? How you like the topic so far? How's your week going on so far?
Doing fantastic. Dropping, as far as more videos now, getting into it and developing my brand and just enjoying life and definitely co-sign what you're saying as far as like one of the things I started doing when I got into the social media aspect was cover tunes. You can see my cover tunes on mainly Instagram. And I took stuff and you dissect it because then you start learning. But I think that, it's so those are great tools. Like if you have no creativity, go recreate something that you like. The other thing I would definitely say is that you have to develop your own sound. That's the thing. It's many of great basketball players that never were professional basketball players because they were trying to be the next Jordan instead of the next them.
Say that again. That's a bar. Say that again. Go ahead.
There's many of great basketball players that never because they were trying to be the next Jordan instead of the next them. If you take a look at it, it's that Jordan was phenomenal. We don't look at Dennis Rodman as a dominant a scoring machine, but we dang sure look at him as that, hey, dude was finna rebound, dude was finna just mash on the court. And if that's your thing and you go out there and get 2 points, so be it. The bottom line is that you contribute to the game. And sometimes when you're here doing music, you may discover, well, hey, I'm not necessarily that good at music, but I am good at mixing, or maybe I'm not good at the hands-on stuff, but I am good at marketing. I can walk into a room and make friends very quickly, which is an extremely valuable skill in the music industry. So you might find that you have other skill sets, let's say website development, content creator, content strategy, all kind of different things. So that's kind of why I'm saying is sometimes think about this. We discovered electricity through lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it does good things happen by accident. Penicillin was discovered by accident. A lot of things that we look at these days were accidental. And so I think one of the things I realized, a lot of people are scared to make mistakes, but there's a wealth of knowledge in mistakes. Do not be afraid. That's something I had to learn. Being retired military helicopter pilot, is almost every flight, everything wasn't perfect. But you learn by, hey, I did that wrong, or hey, I need to reapproach this runway because I didn't do it right. And we would do it over and over and over again. And basically, it's almost like, with the mindset of Jordan is that, you take those shots and you got to keep making the music. You do the music and you keep shooting you keep on shooting until you can't get it wrong.
Say that again.
I mean, really.
Listen, you be saying some things, brother. Say it one more time. Producers, listen up. One more time, that last line.
Okay, I'm going to say it exactly the way it said. You keep shooting until you get it right, and then you continue to shoot till you can't get it wrong. That's something that we have to really just continue. So stop being scared. If people say you suck, again, they said Mariah Carey sucked. And every Christmas, I might bleed out of my ears because I hear that song that she did that I don't like, but it's huge. So anyway, but that's what's going on with me, brother.
Wow. Yo, listen, he said a lot of information. As I said again, he's got his video posted. He has a great video posted. Please tell him about DC, the video you just posted.
The MPC X one. You know what? I want to say this is that I know a lot of people was saying stuff. And again, I said it in the video, and please, I'm asking y'all, get on out here. Because here's the thing, and it's not a shameless plug for me, but it is a plug for the industry as a whole. We've got to have people who can speak, who can articulate exactly what it is that we want. I have zero, because a lot of people are dogging Akai, and I don't have anything bad to say about the MPC X-SE. One, because I've never put my hands on it. So I can't necessarily say that, but as the more I see the videos, I see value in it. But the thing is that we have to be able to speak things. I believe in, because like they got to know what we want. Like I believe in constructive criticism, not destructive criticism. And a lot of people feel if I complain, that, no, not necessarily. I'm giving you something that, hey, I'd like to see as you move forward. So, for example, one of the things, and even EASKI said, hey, it's the sound. They like the productivity and the efficiency of the newer machines, but the sound is not there. And me being a guy who has a whole bunch of old school stuff, even Jermaine Dupri talking about there was something in the 3K, he can't say what it is, but just made his R&B drum sound like hip hop drums. And it's true. I've got 2 of them, and those things are just powerful, and I will never get rid of them. But the thing being is that he was saying, sound is like you can get gear, but there is a sound. I mean, think about it. All this stuff, there's certain character underlying stuff. I play bass, I play guitar. There's some stuff that, man, there's some underlying that you just don't know what it is. But when you hear it, and not so much you hear it, but you feel it. And that's what you feel with the 3K. I mean, I'm telling you, if I sit in a room with a Key 61 as well as a Live 2, they don't sound like the 3K. And no matter what I do, they're not going to sound like it. But is it a bad machine? No. But just like, the SP404 community talks, just like Ableton, just like several of them talk, we as Akai, we don't need to be trashing necessarily, trashing Akai unless they just put trash out. But we do need to be sitting there saying, hey, and you heard me say this, is that to me, I think it's 90% a good product along with what they're trying to do. But the thing that you're hearing people say, and I think I can sum it, give us the box that we want. The box that we want has that sound to it. I don't know how you do it. And I think I heard Abe McCree talking about, different buttons and all kind of stuff you get in there and the whole thing. Because I know there's research and development involved in that. But those, and I like Flavor Pro and all that kind of stuff. And then I like the thing, and I would definitely say my thing to Akai, the criticism is you got to nail your emulations. Don't give me the 60 and the 3,000 in there and then it not be even close. But that's the thing about it, is that maybe in the future they're able to give that box. And I can understand with chip shortages and all kind of stuff, and accounting, because whether y'all like it or not, while you have beat makers that come in and give ideas, and you have the engineers, the accountants also make that machine, because it's got to be profitable. Do I think a 5,000, 3,000 K would sell? Heck yeah. But I mean, again, I don't know all the supply chain and all that kind of good stuff. But that's kind of why I'm sitting there saying is that the MPC X-SE, I think it's a great piece. But just like ESK said, that, it's sound. That's an important thing that needs to be considered. And I think certain type of music is good. But again, overall, I do not think that that's a bad box. I think it's a good box. If you're going to ask me, again, I think when you look at the competition, and I said this in my video, and I encourage you to go look at it on YouTube.
Links in description. His links to his YouTube page is in description. Go ahead, continue.
Right. It's that it's not a blowout win. You're not leading by a blowout. It's a field goal win. You lead. It's a field goal lead. And that's okay. It's a lead. Could something come out and really smack it? Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, if Akai sent an MPC SE to me today, I'm not going to get rid of it and say it's garbage because I got the 61 key. But I think it's a good box. We just have to breathe for a minute. I do like the fact that, I like the SD card versus then a USB stick sticking out the back. What I have to do with the key. So I like that. Now, side note, I bought this key when it first came out for almost $2,000, and
go there. You about to go? Yo, listen, I'm gonna let him go there. Did not want to talk about Akai at all. I don't want to hear about it, but I want DC to say this point because this is a strong point. Now you forced my hand, DC. I'm gonna have to give my 2 cents. Go ahead, talk. You have to say this key point. You have to say this key point.
Right. Like, I am a Akai fan, understand that. And I wouldn't mind being a brand ambassador with them one day. I mean, but I'm not going to tiptoe around. I believe in being authentic with my stuff, and that I am trying to figure out, well, why would you do that? Because now, let's say, for example, I wanted to, let's say, sell it and get an SE. Well, of course I wouldn't do it now because I just took a $400. I mean, it's like the stock market. I just got hit. Now, what do I do with that? I never planned on getting rid of the key, but I'm still trying to figure out what, I don't know if they would just want moving them or something, but I don't know why you drop a new machine and then devalue the other one in the same, within the same 72 hours. How does that happen?
So you're saying that, and again, for everybody that might not, that just came on the show, both him and I bought the MPC Key when it first came out. I believe it was end of June. Am I tripping? It was end of last June. End of last June, right? I think.
Like that.
Yeah, something like that. And then they dropped the MPC X-SE this week. And he's talking about, just to clarify, why you're going to drop this, show no support here, but then drop something new. But go ahead. I'm going to let you finish your point, and then
right. And understand, I know sometimes you may have to do that to move machines, and maybe you're kind of like, because you did have like a huge slash of inventory. I understand how that is, because rather go ahead and make $50 or even it cost, or even take a hit versus sitting in inventory. I totally get all that kind of stuff, and how that but at the end of the day is, I guess I'm trying to figure out why. If I mean, and you don't necessarily owe us what your corporate strategy, what your earning projections and all that kind of stuff, which I fully understand. You don't have to give me that. But I am curious, is that I know the word on the street is new stuff is coming out. Something new just came out. We anticipate more coming out. Why would that be there? And why? I think there's room in this whole Akai ecosystem to maybe put a little bit behind that, like you did the cook-off with the you're doing a cook-off with the new MPC. Do a cook-off with the 61. Do a to boost it up. Do something like y'all did with Timbaland. I mean, think about it. You've got your boxes, and other than the one, the Live 2, you've got a major artist, producer marketing it. Same thing with the SE. But where is your gap within? Like Rodney Jerkins got the 61 key, but I never saw Rodney Jerkins make anything with the 61 key. And I know that probably costs a ton of money, but we need to see stuff like that. I don't need to see Scott Storch play just necessarily a piano riff, which was nice. No shade. But let's see some people like really making some heat with it. And I think that board is there, because I'm gonna sit here and tell you right now, for us that are keyboard players, and I played some stuff for you, just kind of played around with it. That's a good board, but I am curious what the drop is. I pass the mic to you, Frank.
I didn't want to talk about this. I'll be honest with you. I am, as a producer and a music, well, I'm not just a music-based content creator. As a YouTuber who respects all the other producer YouTubers, big shout out to Cookin' Soul, big shout out to Av McCree, big shout out to Curtis King, big shout out, you know what I'm saying, to I Am Sight, who dropped a great video about the new MPC X. Big shout out to everybody who dropped a video about the MPC X. But like I told DC, I don't want to talk about it anymore. But I will say this, and I'm going to focus on this area here. Let me do this right quick. DC Carson Music and Dayson Civil Days Music do not co-sign what I say. I'm going to speak for myself. This is my channel, my show. I'll say this. I'm going to talk to producers who create content about gear, and then I'm going to talk to Akai. Let me talk to people, producers in general on the internet, not people who are content creators, just producers. Stop complaining about the MPC X-SE. If it's not for you, it's not for you. That piece will be a magnificent, great piece for somebody, for sure. Did I have critique over it? Yes, constructive critique. Here's the difference. Constructive critique is when you add your 2 cents to have a solution goal in mind. Hating is complaining with no solutions. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. I saw all the posts. I'm doing a video on it. I saw all the posts. Stop hating on the new MPC X. Please, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Use what works for you. Second, let's get to Akai. Akai, getting back to DC's point, DC's talking more towards the marketing. DC said you had the MPC Key, you released it, did a couple of videos, over and done with, no marketing. Then you come with the MPC X, you know, everybody's the big hoopla about the MPC X-SE. Great, no problem. We love you, Akai. Let me give you this straight up. I have been an Akai user since the early 90s, or just the 90s in general. I have spent over $15,000 on Akai gear. I am in my 40s. I have a huge investment in your company. I'm not hating. I would love to be a brand ambassador, but a brand ambassador in the sense of not just, oh, you get the equipment, you can use the equipment, you show people about the equipment, because again, everything's a business. But an ambassador in the sense that the content creators are in the R&D room, the research and development room process to add tips and things to create better gear. We want you to win. We want you to win. We want you to win. But Akai, please don't take any content creator who has the solutions based in mind critique as hate. We want the product to be the best it can. We believe in you, Akai. Listen, 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020. It's like 35 years. 35 years of your greatness. Nobody is hating. We want to add new features, and we wish there was a bigger suggestion line and things like that. But I will say to DC, we are not in charge of Akai's marketing. That's one thing I will not do as a content creator. DC's right. He says, why don't you see this producer cook up on this, or this producer cook up on this? I'm not going to be part of somebody's marketing unless somebody invests in me to do their marketing. I'm a content strategist, whoop-de-doo. But it's up to Akai themselves to create that type of marketing, and that marketing shouldn't be beholden on content creators to create the marketing for a company unless the company is going to invest in those creators to create the marketing. Nobody has Akai hate. Producers, if it ain't for you, use what you got to use. Because at the end of the day, as producers, use where you can get the idea, the tools, that you can get the idea out of your head and you can complete it in something. I don't care if it's Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, FL Studio. If you have an idea and you love making beats, whatever tool you use is the tool. That's all I'm going to say about this. I am literally have a headache. All these people got opinions about MPC X, and I'm so thankful for I Am Sight, Av McCree, Cookin' Soul, Accurate Beats, all these creators who are using the gear and they're showing how it can be a useful tool. Hate has no room if you're really trying to be a producer, because technically, if you hate on somebody in any industry, you're going to get blackballed. Last thing I'll say, me and Dayson did the video reacting off of the MPC X. We said commentary on how it wasn't for us. It wasn't for us because we already own multiple MPC products. That doesn't mean the MPC X-SE is trash. It's just not for us. But if I never had an MPC, if I've always wanted to get an MPC, I think the MPC X-SE is a great choice for 5 or more reasons. I'll go with my 5. Number 1, it looks sexy. That makes no sense. It's just a good aesthetic look. Number 2, it comes with the whole Akai instrument bundle. Instruments, sounds for day, like thousands of sound. Number 3, the plugins. Airflavor Music Pro. You know, I believe the Mini D. A whole bunch of great plugins, so you can create albums upon albums upon albums with it. Number 4, updated processing. If you want to use a standalone, 4 gigs of RAM, and it has 48 gigs of solid state space, you need a flash space or whatever type of space to create your jams without your computer. And number 5, the workflow of the MPC is 35 years of legendary stuff. I think that any producer, if you want to upgrade, even if you have multiple MPCs, if it's for you, it's for you. Don't come into the comments with it. I saw the comments on the last video. People like, oh my God, Kaleaf, stop crying. It's not crying. It's not for me. But here's the kicker. And I said this story in my last show. I never forget, 10 years ago, I was in a Guitar Center buying a new MacBook. True story. Not Guitar Center, I'm tripping, the Apple Store. And you remember how the Apple Store is set up? They usually have like the iMacs, and they have MIDI controller somewhere. And I heard this beat that came out the speaker that was crazy. And I asked a person at the Apple Store, where'd that track come from? That track is crazy. It wasn't on the speaker from a CD or a recording. It was a 12-year-old kid on an M-Audio MIDI controller destroying GarageBand and making GarageBand sound like 15 MPCs. And that shows me it doesn't matter the tools you have. Make the tracks that you love on whatever tool that helps you get the idea out of your head. Producers, stop arguing about the MPC X. If it's not for you, it's not for you. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think that this topic is kind of like, it's like when you read comments, and it's a bunch of producers, not all producers, but it's that one segment of producers. They just be hating, and oh my God, this is whack. Bro, you are literally taking time, typing a comment to disparage Akai. Where your beats at? You want to know what my beats are? Beatstars.com/KaleafWins. You can hear my tracks, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to start doing more tracks in this channel after my son is born because, being a father is a priority, you heard? You know what I'm saying? And a week and a half. But I'm going to post my tracks because I love to do it. It's not about the views, it's about the love. It's not about the tools, it's about what helps you make magnificent tracks. Oh, I hate this topic now. Real talk. I'm not going to lie. Listen, Akai, please create a community. I didn't want to talk about this. Akai, create a supportive community. Why? Because on different forums and different blogs, there is a toxicity within the MPC user community that is ridiculous. And I'm not saying the whole community is toxic, but just look at the comments. You don't believe me? Type in MPC in YouTube, type in MPC in Facebook, type in MPC everywhere. But the preponderance of comments is hate. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. Akai, you have an opportunity right now to create a supportive community. We ain't going to tell you what to make. That's for your marketing department to do. We will give suggestions, and we'll give those suggestions. But one thing on my channel, on DC's channel, on Dason's channel, we're not adding to the toxicity. We are producers. We want to see solutions. If you are about hating, stay away. Nobody wants to hear the hate. I'm tired of talking about this new MPC X. I think why? Because it's just disappointing that instead of producers coming together around a new piece of gear, that a lot of producers are coming together to critique, hate. Stop the madness. Stop it. I'm exhausted. Go ahead, DC. I'm just really over it.
Right. I would say this is that I understand, because you've got the MPC became huge, not from just hip hop, but also dance, R&B, a lot of stuff. But I also understand, in some genres, there's a lot more, ego and arrogance. But the problem when arrogance is not necessarily an issue. It's arrogance mixed with ignorance. Ignorance is the issue. That's the thing that you have to be careful of. And I would sit back and say, I'm not coming from a place of hate. Most of us, you're not coming. Dayson is not coming. A lot of us are not coming from a place. We're coming from a place of love because the Kai, we love you, but I don't want you to be Kmart or Blockbuster.
Wow. Speak to that. You got to speak to it. Go ahead.
Right. So you got to look at, like, most of y'all have heard of Blockbuster, but have never anticipated going into it. Was a freaking experience going into a Blockbuster and having your freaking Blockbuster card. And when you return movies, you had to make sure it was rewind, and you had to go in there and you pick it out, and hopefully you could get the new stuff. And it was just a great thing where you could go and rent. You know, for example, there was Blockbuster and Chill back in the day, not necessarily Netflix. But then when Blockbuster had the ability, and these are about organizations, I'm coming from a point of organizations having strategic objectives that stay within the current trend, that are able to anticipate future trends. That's why those leaders get paid a whole lot of money, because great transformational leaders are able to know what the future is and prepare, because you have to prepare now in order to be there.
So you're basically saying that you believe that, and not you, just you. A lot of us believe that in terms of the production in quality, that we're worried because we're Akai, fans and Akai users, Akai MPC users, that the software and the type of trajectory is going to be extinct in 10 years. That's what you're saying. It's
a great now box. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a fantastic now box. But then when you get into future, what is it? And, what we're looking for is, because remember, just the whole Akai ecosystem where we had machines, from back in the day, and understand, most beat makers will tell you this, is that, especially for hip hop, it didn't just start with the MPC. It was the 900, it was the 950, it was the 1000, it was 1100, which were rack samplers. And then we got the 60, where everything from 60 to 60 MK2 to 3K to 2K XL to, all the 500s and the 1000s, and all that good stuff. And we got away from it. We went to the RINs, and everybody's like, give us hardware. And I'm giving y'all a quick chronological thing, because I've been following this for years. Now we got the hardware box. But the one thing that we all have been trying to get back is the freaking Holy Grail. Which is the 3K. There's no question. The most expensive doggone MPC out there is, bar none, 3K.
Let me prove that point. Let's go to eBay. Let's prove the point. This is the MPC 3000 on eBay as we speak. $7,000. $7,000. $7,000. $5,000. $5,000. $5,000. So on and so forth. I'll just say this, because from an Akai business standpoint and a company standpoint, they're like, we released the Key, we released the MPC X-SE, we have tools, right? That's their premise. From us as individual producer standpoints, we're like, we want this, we love this, Akai, do better. We have the desire. And then there comes to the reality point. Me and DC talk about this all the time. We can only focus on what we can control. As producers, if let's say Akai shuts down tomorrow, let's say every software, it just shuts down, right? Every producer has to make a decision. Okay, I'm not crossing my fingers waiting. What can I use now? For instance, when I sold off my MPCs like 16 years ago and stuff like that, I just sold them off. I fell in love with Ableton Live. And I made Ableton Live work like I dreamed an MPC would work. Whatever software you use, whatever hardware you use, you gotta use what you have. Arthur Ashe had this quote, use what you have now to get what you want later. If you cannot afford an MPC, use what you have now. GarageBand is free on Macs. BandLab is a free audio workstation. Hell, I remember when I was a kid, PlayStation had Music Generator, and people were making hits off of PlayStation Music Generator, if you remember that. Producers, whatever gear you have, don't wait on a company. No, don't shade on a company. Don't hate on a company. Just use what you have now, because I technically can make Ableton Live sound better than anything, because I have over 10 years in Ableton Live. DC can make Cubase sound everything, and DC got Cubase videos dropping. Sorry, DC, I'll put you on Front Street. It's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But like real talk, stop the MPC wars. Stop it. Stop. It's corny. It's draining. And guess what? How much time is it taking you away from making beats? I don't care. Whatever Akai does moving forward, I'm at the point of don't care. Why? Because what I am going to care about is I love MPCs. I have 2 MPCs, MPC X, and you know what I'm saying? I ain't going to pull out the MPC Key, but you know what I'm saying? I got my key right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to pull out the box, but you know, my key right here. And whatever I decide to do, if I sell all my Akai gear, it'll be for a purpose to invest in my beats. If I keep all the Akai gear, it'll depend on the purpose as to why I make beats. But the bottom line is, are you making beats? And that's something that Dayson brought to me yesterday. He said, Khalif, I hear you talking, but are you making beats? I'm not making beats as much as I need to. I'm going to keep making beats and producing content like that because I love to do that. But producers on the internet, they want to talk. I don't put your beats out. Just put your beats out. Sorry, go ahead, DC.
But I mean, there's validity in that, and I think that you have validity conversations of that because you do have to do like there's like something when I was in the military and you know as an officer and so because it wasn't always about flying, it was also about planning major movements. I mean, you're moving sometimes thousands of people to conduct training or to different areas, and you have to be able to plan different stuff. So how you look at it is what you call issue. We have like issue, what's the issue, discussion, and then solution. And that and it's kind of like ends, ways, and means. Like you're and even with like politics, you hear like ways and means committee, and this is like, okay, there's a law. How we gonna do it, and what do we need to do it with? And that's resources and people and all that kind of stuff. So how we have these things, it's basically what we're ultimately saying. Bottom line up front, which I absolutely believe in, that is what we're saying is, Kai, we like what it is, but really what we're looking for is that 3K-esque sound, something that when we press it, there's like some little magical zeros and ones in there that just push it out that make you go, whoa.
I talked to you about this, DC. I think you got to do what you can with what you have. Listen, if you want that 3K, if that sound, go get Electron Analog Heat Mark II. That's a good example. If you want that 3KX sound, go get an SP44 Mark II. You got one. Don't wait. But on a music front, I saw something, and Bolo posted a video that DC taught me about, and I saw something on Sweetwater. Look at this. $4.99. Wow. That joint is $4.99. Does that mean that Native Instruments is coming out with a new piece of gear? Because the MPK machine is $4.49. That's amazing. I think listen, more competition adds more tools to help more producers. Again, we're not listen, that's a speculation. Maybe Native Instruments might not come with something, but it's hopeful that more companies coming together to add more tools helps producers get better. And that's what I'm told. Let me just run this real quick from this producer. He says something that's real key about creating a unique sound.
I want to give you guys a little cheat code. If you're trying to figure out what your lane is or what your sound is or whatever, what I would suggest is go on whatever your favorite playlist is and make a 10-song playlist of your dream album. If it was your album, and find 10, doesn't matter the era, it doesn't matter the artist, it doesn't matter any of that. Think about, consider the order of the songs. What would you want people to hear first? If you were saying this is my first single, really take the time to break that down and figure out what would be whatever your dream album is. Because what it does is, for people like us, for producers and songwriters, it gives us a blueprint for you. There was a time when we had a lot more time to get to know you as an artist. We don't really have that, afforded that luxury anymore.
And that's a good point. There was a time when like the whole music attention span was longer. And when it comes to us producers creating a unique sound, you know, we don't spend time on our craft, and then the consumption rate is so voracious. What is it, like 100,000 songs a week opposed to the streaming services and things of that nature? And that's why I love being a content strategist. It's like, great, a content strategist by definition is if you have a brand, if you have music, if you have an artist, how can I keep people's attention span every day so they can focus on my music so I can build my fan base and my community? And when it comes to creating your new sound, I think it's a great idea to create a playlist. Like, for instance, DC, what would be the top 5 songs that you will put on your playlist to really help you get your skills up to find your unique sound? I'll go next after you.
It all depends on genre. Now, mine, I mean, I definitely would get into I would listen to So Michael Jackson, and I probably would go for the instrumentation in Thriller, because it's got an 808 that it starts off with, and then it goes into live drums. I definitely would get into some old Commodores. James Brown, freaking, I mean, you know what it is. You have to study that because there's so many percussive things going on in there. So that's 3. Then there is, I actually was listening to, believe it or not, Toni Braxton. You know, she's got some great tracks, and that's that whole Babyface thing. And then 5, I would actually wind that thing off with, you already know I'm gonna go Smokey Robinson. I mean, those would be those things that I would listen to. And then, I mean, there's some other stuff that I would listen to, but the top 5 for R&B, that would be it.
Well, I'll say me, in terms of creating our new sound, my new sound, in trying to find my sound, I got 5 albums already on my 100-song playlist that I'm studying. Number 1, Stevie Wonder Songs in the Key of Life album. That's number 1. Number 2, Wu-Tang Forever double disc. Number 3, Tupac All Eyes on Me double disc. And number 4, people might not know, Tony Tone House of Music. So fire album. That album is catastrophically fire. That album is ridiculous production wise. Like the choices, the bass, like Raphael Sadiq on bass, his brothers there. The melodic choices are crazy. And I don't care what nobody says. I think Murder Was the Case by Death Row is the best soundtrack ever. The best. Dr. Dre production, DJ Quick production, a whole bunch of production. I'm telling you, that's my top 5 list. Was that 5? Hold on. Murder Was the Case album, Songs in the Key of Life, Tony Tone House of Music, Wu-Tang double disc, Tupac All Eyes on Me double disc. Production wise, that's on my study playlist, and then that's what I said about finding your new sound. You got to put yourself on a music playlist diet. Create a playlist of all the songs that made you fall in love with hip hop when you were younger, and study that music. I want to get to this. We have to take time to experiment. I'm going to reiterate this. How much time are we putting into making our beats? We got to put in the hours to find our new sound. Are you making a schedule to make your own beats? Now I have a newborn son about to be delivered in a week and a half. My life is going to completely change. Once I get used to that schedule, then I'm going to have a schedule. Hey, if anybody has kids, you know what I'm talking about. You got to wait for that kid to go to sleep. You get that pocket of 25 minutes. You're like, oh, 25 minutes. Headphones in my MPC or headphones in my Ableton Live. Make tracks. Put in the hours. And I got a schedule format set up. And because as a social media strategist, and I work with helping people create their content and things of that nature, I'm on the phone literally every day for hours. I always tell people, here's some content tip ideas for producers that really want to set a schedule and really want to put their beats out there and attract more opportunities to get sales from beats or to get streams or whatever tickles your fancy to get beats on streams. And I'm just gonna share this right here. Now, here's some content tips. If you need a social media strategy session, most definitely hit me in my link in bio. Here's some content strategy tips for producers. Every day we have 24 hours. We go to sleep, we go to work, we spend time with family. Everybody has a sliver of 15-minute blocks or 20-minute blocks or hour blocks in their days to make beats. When my son is born, in the house, stuff like that, we have him on a sleeping schedule. Once he gets on the sleeping schedule, I'm like, all right, 5:30 in the morning till about 6. All right, 2 o'clock in the afternoon to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, when he sleep, 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. If I have 3 hours a day and there's 7 days a week, 3 times 7 is 21. That means I have myself on the schedule of when I get my son in a sleep schedule, which will probably take a while, I'm going to have 21 hours a week to work on tracks. So producers, put yourself on the schedule. Find the slivers of time every day that you can work on beats and put in the work to create beats, to get sales or to get placements or whatever your fancy is, and then add those hours up. And once you stick to the schedule and be consistent, you can make more moves. Second content tip is the tip from the Jazzy Jeff video that I played in a couple episodes back. Put your beats out there. You know what I'm saying? Listen, copyright your beats, of course, protect your work, of course. And then after you protect your work and after you put your YouTube content ID and after, you put your copyrights, put them, protected, have your ISRC code and things of that nature, send them out to a whole bunch of artists that you personally know. That's what I would do. They can't steal it if you got your stuff copyrighted. Put your beats out as much as possible and put projects out. Stop sitting on your stuff. As soon as I start this production wave, I'm going to start pushing out nothing but tracks. That's it. Third step, show people that you make your beats. Like literally, if there's 7 days a week and everybody's in their cell phone, and this goes for me too, but in order for people to know me as a producer, they have to hear my work. If you want to go to a restaurant, I said this before in shows, you go to the the restaurant's Instagram page, you go to the restaurant's TikTok page. And if you see that good food, you start to salivate, you go to the restaurant and eat. It's the same thing when it comes to beats. People are not going to know KaleafWins producing unless I put videos of me cooking my meals. People are not going to want to invest in my restaurant and or beat store if people are not going to see me consistently posting. When you make your beats in a day, record video, show your work, post it. Stop sitting on it. Every idea is not a trash idea. And listen, last tip, be trash on purpose. If you're a producer, the best way to break perfectionism is put out the work. Be trash on purpose, because if somebody says, oh, that's trash, great, that's data. If somebody tells me that's whack, great. Would somebody in America think is whack? Somebody in France and Russia might think is the greatest thing ever. A lot of times we bottle our ideas, bottle our great, visions, bottle it. But think about it. Every Billboard Top 100 song for the last 50 years has a simple melody. A simple melody. A simple melody. Put out all your ideas. That one idea you think is garbage might be the biggest seller. And every beat is a lottery ticket. I've said this before. But if you need social media strategy for producers, please hit me in my link in bio. Book a call in a session. I'll sit with you for 60 minutes, and I'll most definitely give you at least 30 ideas. And DC can speak to that. I give you 30 ideas on how you can promote your music. But he'll speak to that later. I want to get the DC's view and to discuss EA Ski and the live Instagram video he posted up and how he talked about sound. He touched on it a little bit there, but in terms of sound and how this can help you create a unique sound.
Let me give a real quick 30 seconds to piggyback what you just said and then go into that discussion. Y'all see this? I keep this, learned how to use it when I got in the military. And what I do is if there's something that I write it down, I generally use notes on my phone, but I write it down. Prioritize your day. And there's something called backwards plan. And that means you lay out what your priorities are, what's got to be done at the end of the day, and then you back it out like how many hours or minutes or whatever it is, and plan it out. I'm gonna tell you, I saw schedules for 4-star generals that it had it had such to plan 15 minutes for like a resilience break. They were so doggone, I mean, his physical fitness, and trust me, when it was time for it to end, it was time for it to end. So my point is saying is that they had a plan of what they wanted to accomplish, and understand that's a snowball effect. So prioritize your day, but backwards plan. When I get up in the morning, what do I need to have accomplished? What's going to say this day was successful? What do I have to do? And then cut out distractions. Most of y'all be trying to sit back and can I just say this man to man? Y'all listen, I know stuff sometimes looks good on IG. Y'all know where I'm going, but that ain't making you no money. It'll take away money. And it's taking away time. At the end of the day is, trust me, if you handle what you need to handle, all that stuff will come to you. But they're not coming to you when you've got like 22 videos, hardly any following, and you look like you still live in the basement. You're going to have to move up, because this is Instagram. They getting like 40 and 50, sometimes 100 a day. But at the end of the day is, man, shooting your shot there will never pay as much as shooting your shot in your studio. That's what I want to say. And then, I mean, and I understand sometimes and get busy. Some of the military, we would say, is that I got to take 10 pounds. It's like getting up each morning and taking 10 pounds of crap and trying to put it in a 5-pound bag. And it was difficult. But most of the time we did it. So I just want to say that to you, is that absolutely planning, that's going to make you better. It makes you dependable. It keeps you committed. It keeps you focused on something. You handle it. All right. Back to the thing of what he said. That's my boy. I like how he says things. It's no EASKI is like no holds bar. He's going to say what he feels. And again, it kind of goes back to his biggest gripe was like the the X-SE comes off as like trying to sell water to the Dolphins.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the sound. Let's not talk about MPC anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I'm getting there. But what he was saying is, but yet when you looked in the studio and you and I talked about that, it was the other stuff that he had in there to tailor sound. And it's true. And so that's what I'm saying. Definitely that I don't know what the newer one sound and maybe in there, but y'all got to take a look at the listening. That's part of why your playlist, listening to stuff, to backwards playing how that sound is. If you can, the great thing about these days, you can Google what mixer it was made on. You can Google what studio. I look at a lot of stuff, the Sunset Sound stuff about Prince. Go out there and find out how it's created.
Now, yeah, because that's the only reason I got my ASR 10. When I love RZA, I love Alchemist, and I love Timbaland. And when I found out that they used the ASR 10 in the beginning of their career, I instantly bought my ASR 10. Why? Because nothing can replicate the sound. It's, again, we're not talking about being gearheads and gear snobs. It's the sound. It's the sound. So I got ASR 10. DC keeps convincing me not to sell it, but the only reason that you want to sell a piece of gear is because you're not using your piece of gear. That's the shot to me. If I was using my ASR 10 every day, I would never sell it. But the ASR 10 sound is remarkable, and that's part of the piece. What DC said earlier about finding out and researching how what the greats use to get to their sound. Lenny Kravitz is the same. I believe I read an article a while back that Lenny Kravitz at a particular point in his career bought the mixer board and stuff like this of the sound of the eras that he loves that helped him become a great artist because he wanted that sound. Groove Theory. Great group. They have a sound. Erykah Badu, she has a sound. Swiss Beats, he has a sound. The list goes on and on and on and on. And when it comes to producers, you guys creating your sound, start simple. And I'll say this real quick because I want DC to continue. I had to tell myself, shut up. You don't need anything new yesterday. I said, what is the gear to get your idea out of your head quicker to create your sound? Me, Ableton Live, bar none. I said, whatever piece of gear does not help you get to the desired outcome of you completing your tracks, sell it now. Whatever gear, if you have a whole bunch of gear in your house, and us three talked about this offline last night, we was like, instead of investing here, I'm going to sell this to get this. What are your goals? Like, for instance, like a lot of producers, we're gear whores. I got literally 7 pieces of gear in this house. I don't even use it. But if somebody said make a beat for an artist, I'm getting on Ableton Live because I know that tool in and out. But in creating your unique sound, research what other classic greats are using. But at the end of the day, we can buy a whole bunch of gear off eBay. But if we're not making a track with that gear, then it's holding up space in your house and you can replace it to get something else. Go ahead, DC.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it too, is that, you know, I have an ASR 10. You heard me play it. It was phenomenal. But you also heard me sit there and after I played that, took the same samples and played the SP404, and you was like, wait a minute, hold on one second, that thing knocks, because it does. I'm just gonna tell y'all now that that's a slept on thing. People get caught up in the effects, but as far as punch, that thing's got it. And it is like, I'm gonna tell you, the number one thing I use to get my ideas out is voice recorder on my phone. Number thing. I get it out, I do the beat, and Timbaland does something similar to that. And then crafting your sound, I was listening. What was it? Something where they like Drink Champs or something like that. It was sitting there, and Timbaland and Swiss Beats, and it was asking them Pro Tools or tape. Both of them said tape. Both immediately, it was no stuttering. And because there's something, that's why I keep tape around, and I will always keep tape around.
Real quick, here's the cheap alternative to producers for tape. Buy yourself a cassette tape recorder. Real talk. If you can't afford $1,000, spend $50 on a double cassette recorder and just record on tapes. Like, real talk. Go ahead, continue.
Right, because I just went to the thrift market last week and bought a dual cassette recorder for $35. Understand that as I was digging in crates for records and stuff like that. And they had like the little 45s for like 10 cents. And I'm saying, give me to me for 5 cents, whatever it is. But the point being is that it's really just taking your environment and using what you have and playing with textures, and everything is not necessarily what you hear. It's also with music, what you feel. There's no question about that. So when you're crafting sound, like the greatest thing, like back in the day, if you had, the studio had what it had. You didn't really have mic preamps. You had a board. It was either API, SSL, It was Neve. It was that kind of stuff, and that's where it is. Tridents, all that good stuff. Now you can do with the little 500 series where the chassis, the 500 little boxes, you can have bits and pieces from all kind of stuff. And that the price of the Neve, I don't need the entire Neve console because I can just buy it. Like when I talk, every time we talk about what would you get, the first thing y'all hear me say is a doggone Neve preamp with EQ. Y'all hear me say that every time, or at least a very good clone, and they have them out there. And then I say, what's the other one? 1176 compressor, because there's something about that hardware compressor, which you can get it in the box, but it's just something buttery smooth. And then either I'm not trying to pay for a brand new Neumann 87 mic, but there's some good knockoffs or used, and that's probably a $7,000-$8,000 chain, maybe a little lower if you use like the clones or stuff like that. You probably could get it for around 4, 5, something like that, as well as tuning your room or getting like a lot of people are now starting to come out with the emulations where you can put your headphones on and you can hear what it would sound like on a 50-inch TV, what it would sound like in a car, what it would sound like at a concert. So I'm saying those are great things to use if you don't have a treated room. And that's why my room is a treated, because I can get enough and then tighten it up. And if I really need a very detailed mix, I'll just go pay for it because they'll have all that other stuff in there. But go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, like DC said, like I said, whatever tool helps you get your unique sound, that's the only tool that you need to worry about. Real talk. Whatever tool you have, your unique sound, and I'll go over this one more time, just the tips. DC laid out a whole bunch of tips. Think about this real quick. To create your unique sound, let's just run through this. Put in the hours to find your sound. Put yourself on a music playlist side. Create a playlist of your hits. Experiment. Try new techniques. Create cover songs of your favorite artists to learn their techniques. Make your beats around acapella as a good way to learn your techniques. Put your projects out there monthly so you can attract, what you need and things of that nature. Let me run this back.
Listen to a bunch of music from various genres, and whatever you gravitate towards the most, study the fundamentals of that genre and just experiment with it. It can really benefit you to experiment with any style of music that inspires you to create, and the more often you experiment, the more creative you'll feel, and the sooner you'll find your sound.
To be honest, the way I found my sound was just by making music that I like. But I feel like the whole point of music is just to make music for yourself. Something that you and your friends could listen to driving around, Because if you like it, I'm sure there's more people who's gonna like it.
Pick 3 artists or producers that you love. Choose one song that you love for each of those artists. Then take inspiration from one element from each of those songs.
And listen, if you ain't got all the tools in a row, I just saw this. Music collaboration platform Audio Tool hits 1 million published track. It's a free online production platform that brings together creative minds online. Audio Tool has announced it's reached these people. The cloud-based digital audio workstation runs in any browser, making it easy for anybody to create tracks without expense. Where users can then share them without the complexity of exporting stems. Everybody's on the same level. Inspiration, inclusivity are built in and things of that nature. Here's an opportunity. If you don't have all the money in the world, use that. Use BandLab and things of that nature. Here's something also I want to put people onto for sure, is that right now, Roland and Melodics have partnered through a series of special beat maker sample packs. Roland and Melodics, if you don't know about Melodics, this series has crafted sample content from global artists in addition to companion lessons that help further the development of finger drumming skills on the recent release SP404 MK2. And things of that nature. 128 DAW-ready WAV files can also be imported in music favorite production software and their hardware. You don't need an SP404, and it's just another opportunity, and this is another partnership. Whatever the tool you use, just create. Whatever the gear you use, just create. Forget the noise of the internet. Get on that beat machine or get on your DAW and start a relationship. Treat your music software or hardware like a marriage or like a long-term relationship. If you don't put time in your wifey or time in your girlfriend and time with your spouse, then you're not going to have a stronger relationship. Are you having a strong relationship with your music passion, or are you just wasting time talking about it, wasting time critiquing about it, or just overthinking the process? You don't need all the gear in the world. BandLab is free. There's iPhone apps. There's Android apps. Use the software, fall in love with it, and I'm telling you, a year from now, if you start today, just focusing on your music, creating your tracks, putting out your tracks weekly, creating your tracks, putting out your tracks. Think about how far you will be in your career by this time next year. I always say that. Forget the small talk. just really make it happen. Today's episode is about how to find your unique sound as a producer. DC, you got any closing statements?
Yeah, like I say instead of shooting your shots on IG models, shoot your shot on people who are out there doing stuff and maybe a little more to you. Find, we say iron sharpens iron, but that really is you're finding both pieces of iron cannot be the same strength. One has to be stronger than the other. So find people that are maybe doing something that's got good mixing skills. I definitely would say look at your song structure most of the time, and I've been guilty of this, is get you start off, go ahead and just do a chorus, which is normally what we always start with. Then to get you a verse where you pull some stuff out, get your chorus, second verse, maybe add a few little things, a little stuff in there, then do your 2-pass chorus. Then you turn around and build that chorus, do your break. That means maybe you just take out the bass and take out something and you leave one element in there and then add it back in, add another element, done. And you really can get it done in 30 minutes. And here's the thing, one of the successful things you can do doing something. Listen, I practiced 15 minutes a day one time, just good for like months, just a little bit on guitar, a little bit on bass, and a little bit on playing drums and keyboard. And I did it with a metronome. And within a month, my timing got fired for that short amount of time. And I started off slower at around like 72 and eventually got up to like 100, 150, 100. And I'm telling you, it's the little things. And a lot of y'all are sitting there, you've got plenty of time. So take that, and instead of spending on other things, again, y'all got to invest in something that brings you a profit. If it doesn't, stop. So for example, getting into all these arguments, that is not profitable to sit back and tell somebody this thing is garbage or that's garbage. It's not necessarily profitable to sit back and always just mindlessly scroll on the internet or social media. Get focused. At the end of the day, I'm leaving you with this, is that, man, get a warrior mindset. Get a point where you are tunnel vision on what you got to do. Make it that, hey, we got May 1st coming up Monday. Make that be the day that we gonna start hardcore. We finna hit it. I'm making at least to be today. At least, and most of y'all got a phone where you got GarageBand on it. Do it. Get mentally focused. That's the main thing is going to be. You got to get your focus. You got to be able to set your priorities. You got to start with your end state. If you want 30 beats, 30, whatever, I forget how many days in May at this point. But the primary focus is when you get to June 1st, and y'all hear me beating on the table, you need to be able to sit back and say, I got 30 plus. And rock and roll with that thing and be proud of yourself, and then maybe go back and revamp. But that's the main thing. And as far as the argument, stop. At the end of the day, stop. And then the final thing is, Akai, like I said, we're rooting for you. We're pulling for you. Some of us have been around. We just don't want to see a Kmart. We just don't want to see a Blockbuster. And not saying that's where you are by any means. It's just simply saying, probably needs to be some shifts on some things to get that back into how the stuff is coming out. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, my closing statement says the only way to find your unique style and sound, you got to dig every day. You know what I'm saying? You got to dig. Number 2, collaboration breeds success. Listen, hip-hop producers, stop staying with hip-hop producers. Like, I work with, like, when I'm on my stride, when I'm really working, I'm with bands. I'm sitting in a room with people that know more music theory, and I don't know music theory. People that play piano, people that play keyboard, and I'm sitting there, let's create something, let's work on something. Me and DC in the future, after I get the schedule down with my son and my new one, I'm going to set up, collaboration sessions where we're like, yo, DC, play something great. I'm going to play something great. You're going to play something great. Let's put it out. And just not care. But really, to get your own sound and your style is just to put in the work. If you don't put in the work, then you're going to look crazy. And I'll say this about the Making Better Track show. When this show comes back into full swing, this is my last episode, or the episode before was supposed to be the end of the season. I guess we're going to round it off at a strong 10. But when I come back in full swing, I'm going to show people more than I can tell them. I'm getting sick and tired of talking. I want to have fun making beats. I want to learn from people because I don't know everything. I think that a lot of people online act like they know everything. I don't know everything. Every martial arts master, I love martial arts. I trained in martial arts as a kid. Every martial arts master starts the day off with, I need more to learn. I don't know everything. And that's how I'm going to treat production. And I want everybody to feel the same way. Thank you for joining the Making Better Track Show. Give it up to my homeboy, DC Carson. Follow his page, link in description. Support his Retail Therapy single on Spotify. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for coming to the show. Everybody have a great week of making beats. Have a great week of making better tracks. Have a great week of making better songs. Please tell us how you feel in the comments. If you want to support my show, please hit me up on the Cash App at $KaleafWins. If you want a social media content strategy, for sure, hit me in my link in bio so we can set that up. Please hit up DC, buy him a cup of coffee. His links in the description. Support his brand and his channel. Support his videos. Share our videos. So guess what? Share our videos so we can create a bigger and better conversation. Everybody have a great day. Peace, and we're out.